What's up, guys? I'm Kay Scholl. Welcome to another financial awareness video. Listen, this is just one of those topics that isn't fun, but we have to talk about it. How to pay off your debt. Let's get to work. Paying off your debt is not fun. It's probably one of the most boring aspects of your financial plan to implement. But it also is one that is the most rewarding and has life-changing experiences. Life-changing? Really? Yeah, because once you completely finish paying off a debt like a car, student loans, or massive credit card debt, you really start to think before making each purchase. I know I'm just yet another random guy on YouTube, but would you take marriage advice from somebody who's been divorced 4 times or from somebody who's been married 30 years? Personally speaking, my wife and I paid off around $78,000 of debt by the time we were 28 years old. And right now, we're paying off our medical student loans. So I know a thing or two on this topic. Back when I was a financial advisor, some of the most rewarding phone calls I received were calls from clients telling me that they finally paid off their debt. One of my clients paid off her car this past April, and with another client, years later after we started working together, I asked him why he started working with me. And he said that when I told him he shouldn't invest any more money for his future until he paid off his furniture loans and credit card debt, he knew I was the right guy to help coach him up. So that's the perspective of where I'm coming from. Okay, so how do you do it? I'll link a video in the description below that goes further into detail about the Dave Ramsey baby steps. But the first thing you have to do to get out of debt is you have to write down why getting out of debt is important for you. Whatever the reason is for you, that's what you'll revert back to when you want to start spending money on something else before you're completely done paying off your debt. Back in our 20s, I swindled my wife into thinking that once we were done paying off our debt, she'd have more money to buy clothes. And what's funny is she has a closet full of clothes and yet still doesn't have anything to wear. Okay, back to the video. You have to commit to doing it. If you're okay with having a little bit of debt and it doesn't bother you, then you'll probably never get out of debt. But if you're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired and exhausted and overwhelmed with being in debt, then congratulations. You've taken the first step towards being committed to follow through on your goal of paying off your debt. Once you know why you want to get out of debt and have made the commitment, where do you go from here? Generally speaking, there are 2 basic ways of going about doing this. The first option, pay off whatever has the highest interest rate first. Or the second option, pay off whatever has the smallest balance first. The thought with this second option is the positive emotional reinforcement you'll get with each small victory of paying off the smaller debts first. It's a psychology thing. In my opinion, it's not one or the other, but rather which combination of those 2 options will motivate you to actually doing it. That's the best answer for you. I know that sounds like such a lawyer type of response, but it's true. What you need to do is develop a plan that makes sense for you and do it. Because if you own it, if you actually own your plan, then you'll follow through with your commitment and you'll actually pay off your debt instead of just talking about it. We did a combination of both. In our mid-20s, we decided to tackle our credit cards first, then student loans, then our car loans. It just so happened that the interest rates on our credit cards were the highest, but they were also the lowest balances compared to our student loans and car loans. So that made for an easy decision. Student loans are not bankruptable, so that motivated us to pay them off first before the car loans. Worst case scenario, you can file bankruptcy and they'll take your car, but your student loans will be with you forever until they're paid off. Kind of like that tattoo you should get removed. If you have 2 debts that are similar in interest rate and balance due, I would pay off whatever has the highest monthly payment first because that will free up cash flow for you to then apply towards your next debt. Hey, if you're getting value from this video, do me a favor and tap that like button. Also, question for you. What is the most amount of debt you've ever paid off? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, so now you've written down why you want to get out of debt and you know your options of how to do it. Here's the next step. Grab pen and paper or open up Excel and write down each of your debts. Total monthly payment, balance due, and interest rate. Just take a minute and look at all those numbers and ask yourself, how did I get here? But also start to ask yourself which one of these debts makes the most sense for you to crush first, because this is part psychology and part math. Now it's time to crunch some numbers. This is going to take some time, so get comfortable, but this is very important because this is where you start to set your own expectations of how long this might take you to get out of debt. You need to have a firm and good understanding of both your budget and your disposable income of how much extra money you can throw at each of your debts one at a time. Because again, this is where the rubber meets the road, where after you crunch these numbers, you'll start to realize and find out if this is going to take you maybe less than a year or possibly more than 5 years. For most people, getting out of debt is a long-term endeavor, which is why so few people are able to do it. In our microwave culture, very few people use a crock pot to make dinner, but if you did, you'd have healthy meals for days. Based on your income, your budget, how well you're able to limit your spending and focus on paying off debt, if this is going to take you less than a year, then buckle up, buttercup, and just get it done. A year will fly by so quickly you won't even realize it, and the sacrifice will be worth it. Alternatively, if this is going to take you several years, then you need to squeeze in a little bit of fun within your budget. Dave Ramsey would say otherwise, and to all the hardcore people that do Dave Ramsey to a T, that may work for you. But for most other people, you need to have a little bit of fun squeezed into your budget so that you have something small to look forward to each year. If you don't, then you'll start to feel deflated and you'll wonder if you're still doing the right thing and are enjoying your life, which will lead to guilt spending and impulse spending. And that will completely throw you off track as you're trying to pay off your debt. So do yourself a favor if this is going to take you several years and budget in a little bit of fun so that you have a little something to look forward to each year. Also, if you've crunched the numbers and are in shock with how long this is going to take you and you're feeling deflated before you even start, then you've got 3 options. Option number 1, just grow up and pay these suckers off. Come on, man. Option number 2, sell something. Sell something big and take that chunk of money and throw it towards the debt, or get rid of a debt entirely. Sell something like a car. Look around your house and see if there's stuff you can sell. Maybe if you have money in a non-retirement investment account, maybe even consider liquidating that and throwing that chunk of money towards the debt as well. Or option number 3, try to find ways to make more money and really limit your expenses so that you have more disposable income and can throw more money at each of your debts so you pay them off faster. As my wife and I were going through this in our mid-20s, we never really sold anything big to pay our debts off faster. We just worked really hard at lowering our expenses and tried to make more money so that we would have more money to throw at each debt and pay it off faster. She was a nurse at the time, so she would pick up extra shifts, and I was in real estate at the time, so I would work really hard to try to close more deals. In addition to everything I've already mentioned, you need to phone a friend and tell them what you're doing. If you don't want to tell your friend, tell your parents. Shoot, call your neighbor and tell them. I don't care, but you need to find an accountability partner who will be your biggest cheerleader and encourage you along the way when things get tough. The easy part is watching this video and telling yourself that you should get out of debt. The hard part is actually doing it. If you're serious about paying off your debt, check out this video right here where I share 5 simple ways you could save money right now. I don't know, you might like that one instead. I appreciate your time. See you in the next one.